Grace and peace, everybody. We're back. Thank you so much for hanging out with me on today. This is going to be another one of my one and done. If you're not familiar with it, I'll just shoot the video. There's going to be no edits. It's going up soon after I hit completion of this video. I'm going to upload it. So let me know what you think about it. Give me your feedback and such like that. Now, you might be asking yourself, Jason, why do you have your Safari hat on? And that's a very valid question. What we're going to watch today is so far off of the target that I had to wear my Safari hat. That was terrible. That was a horrible joke. It was horrible. I'm sorry about that. Anyway, LeCrae, and you all have been seeing and you've heard all the brouhaha that's been going on about LeCrae and such like that, righteous versus ratchet. I can quote Cardi B. I can quote Kendrick Lamar, all that kind of stuff like that, and D1. Well, today, I want to address something that might have slipped under your radar of understanding in one of LeCrae's most recent Talking Head videos, where he responded to D1 saying, hey, we don't have any beef and blah, 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 blah. First of all, shout out to my brother Lou Chikune from Seek Things Above TV. He did a review of LeCrae's apology or recognition video, whatever you want to call it, and it was really good. I gleaned something from that, however, that I want to point out and talk about specifically. Also, shout out to Keith Bell, who pointed this out to me, said, Jason, you really should address this. It's good to have brothers that are making much of Christ and want to encourage others to continue to make much of Christ. So shout out to Lou, shout out to Keith. Check out both of their channels. I will leave those links down in the description for you to check their channels out and give them support. So let's talk about it. But before we do that, because LeCrae says something very interesting in the beginning of this video, and he talks about context. So what I think would be the only appropriate and right thing to do is to pull up the context of the point that I'm going to be pointing out on today. So let's look at it. And this is going to be Matthew chapter 16 verses, is this the ESV? It is the ESV. Matthew chapter 16 verses 13 through 20. And this is in the ESV. This is when Peter confesses that Jesus is the Christ. As I always like to tell you, read the whole thing in context. It's really good, especially in light of what LeCrae is going to say today. So now let's go. Now, when Jesus came into the district of Caesarea Philippi, he asked his disciples, who do people say that the Son of Man is? And they said, some say John the Baptist, others say Elijah, and others Jeremiah or one of the prophets. He asked, or rather said to them, but who do you say that I am? Simon Peter replied, you are the Christ, the Son of the living God. And Jesus answered him, blessed are you, Simon Bar-Jonah, for flesh and blood has not revealed this to you, but my Father who is in heaven. And I tell you that you are Peter, and upon this rock I will build my church, and the gates of hell shall not prevail against it. I will give you the keys to the kingdom of heaven, and whatever you bind on earth shall be bound in heaven, and whatever you loose on earth shall be loosed in heaven. Then he strictly charged the disciples to tell no one that he was the Christ. Notice also Jesus here does not deny that he's the Christ. He actually commends Peter for acknowledging it, but also notice what Jesus is building his church upon. No, I'm sorry, he's not building on Peter. Sorry, he wasn't the first pope. Just letting you know. But also, he's not building it on Caesarea Philippi either. I want you to remember that, because what we're going to hear from Mr. LeCrae here today says something different. Now, he's going to say a lot of bombastic things that I think are just dead on their face wrong. I just want to point out what he says about the building of the church. So I am going to let some things slide. So let's let it go.
Homophobia, anti-intellectualism, and context is king. And
context is king, Mr. LeCrae. So let's check out context.
Christianity in major cities and places that I dwell is a hotbed for racism, political ideology, homophobia, anti-intellectualism. And I always want to push back on people when they think that, because we're not. That's not what Christianity is, but a lot of people think that's what it is. So I'm always trying to help them understand, no, we are where you are. You are welcome to come talk to Jesus, whatever space and place in life is. When Jesus was at Caesarea Philippi, and he said, upon this rock, I'll build my church. Many scholars have come to understand he's not talking about.
Okay, I want to stop right there. I want you to see that He starts out by saying me, as if this is something that he believes. But then he stops and says scholars. If you know of a scholar that's reputable, that says what LeCrae says, could you please drop their name in the or video or commentary or article in the description, or rather in the chat? I would love to see a scholar, a reputable scholar that believes and says what LeCrae is about to say. I'm gonna back up just a few moments to give him a little bit of running start. But if you know of one, could you please let me know?
That upon this rock I'll build my church. Many scholars have come to understand he's not talking about Peter, he's talking about Caesarea Philippi itself, which was a very worldly, pagan, rich.
Yeah, you just heard that. He just said that Jesus said he's going to build his church on Caesarea Philippi, as the physical building, the physical church would be built on the physical land of Caesarea Philippi. I'm going to back that up because you might think I was wrong.
When they think that, because we're not. That's not what Christianity is, but a lot of people think that's what it is. So I'm always trying to help them understand, no, we are where you are. You are welcome to come talk to Jesus, whatever space and place in life is. When Jesus was at Caesarea Philippi and he said, upon this rock I'll build my church, many scholars have come to understand he's not talking about Peter, he's talking about Caesarea Philippi itself, which was a very worldly, pagan, ritual-esque place. Lots of orgies happening there. And Jesus is saying, no, upon this rock, this is where my church is going to be established.
Where did Jesus say that? Now, this would fly in the face. Matter of fact, I'm just going to shout out a couple examples of why this is dead wrong on his face, but feel free to leave any other examples down in the comments below. The woman at the well, Jesus said that in the time future, we won't worship God in Samaria nor in Jerusalem. Okay. But then also, where did the church start? Where did Acts, in the book of Acts, where did the church start? Where was the birth of the church? It sure wasn't in Caesarea Philippi. Where was it? LeCrae, but I think it's adorable that he was talking about anti-intellectualism and he's literally spouting anti-intellectual mumbo jumbo. Let him finish, Jason.
Like where y'all think is dark is where I'm gonna be. And contextually he says, and the gates of hell will not be able to withstand. Like gates keep people out. He's saying the gates can't keep us out of doing the work of my Father. And
that's true. But the church was not started at Caesarea Philippi, sir.
Kind of the perspective that I have is that, man, Christianity's not dead. We're still here. We're alive. We're thriving. The sub-Sahara, China, like growing every day. Communities of color in America growing every day. So I'm always wanting people to know we're where you are. And in my attempts to do that.
What does we're where you are mean? What does that mean? Because again, LeCrae has been given over, and I'll just say it, LeCrae has been given over to woke ideology and the woke vernacular. We are where you are. What does that mean? What does that mean? I am in my house. Nobody else is here with me. Well, I mean, y'all are here with me, but you got my point. What is he talking about?
I can come off seeker sensitive, and I can admit that. But that my intention is always to reach, man. No pun intended. I also say this: I'm not getting no money from these shirts. But the money.
Okay, we'll come back to the shirts in a second. Seeker sensitive. You already know how I feel. If you follow me for 10 minutes, you already know how I feel about the purpose-driven life and seeker-sensitive attractional church. And if that's what he is using as his barometer, then, sir, therein is your problem. There are no seekers. There are no seekers. There is only one seeker, and he is God. And he is seeking whom he will save. We're not seeking God on our own because we're dead in our trespasses and sins. We are not going after God. I know you want to believe it, but it's not true. We're not going after God. We want a God of our own making. We want a God that affirms our own behavior. We want a God that goes and green lights all of our sin. We don't want God. We want ourselves. We want an idol. So if that's what you're using as your barometer, LeCrae, therein is the beginning of your problems.
From the merchandise sincerely goes to pay other people's salaries, keep people employed, and to a lot of the organizations that I support. I use it as a tool to help people learn how to do business. I got interns who are just trying to figure stuff out and letting them have some creative liberties and freedoms as well. Anyway, that's besides the point. The point is, I can own that. That shirt was thoughtless. Should have put more thought into it. Didn't mean no harm. Me and D1 are good. Labor Day sale is going on if you want to support that, 20% off. And I appreciate y'all. Appreciate y'all for rocking with me, for loving me. And oh man, I love y'all. And
Okay, well, LeCrae loves you and he appreciates you loving him and such like that. I need him to love these scriptures though and stop taking them out of context, which I thought was adorable that he was talking about context and literally proceeded to take the scriptures out of context. It befuddles me. But this is just a quick video. I wanted to point out just the foolishness that LeCrae has been spouting. Again, I'm not saying the guy is not a Christian. I'm not arguing about his Christian faith. What I am arguing about is what it is that he has embraced. He's embraced woke ideology, woke vernacular, woke terminologies, and such of that nature. I'm sorry. We are where you are. That's not a Christian thought process. Homophobia, racism, political ideologies. LeCrae has been steeped in every last one of those. I don't understand what it is that he thinks he's pulling a shell game on us. But I want to encourage you as the listeners, the viewers, and the such of that nature. Scripture doesn't say that people were noble because they took Paul at his word because he spoke the truth earlier. Scripture doesn't say that the Bereans were noble because, A, they trusted that Paul was saying the right thing. They trusted that Paul was not going to lie to him because he didn't lie to him before. That's not what Scripture says. Scripture says that the Bereans were noble because every day they scoured the Scriptures to see if what Paul had said was true. And I'm challenging you to do the exact same thing. Scour the Scriptures to look to see if what LeCrae is saying is true. Did Jesus really say he's going to build his church on the foundation of Caesarea Philippi? Did Jesus really say that? Did Jesus greenlight the behavior of quoting blasphemous artists like LeCrae, degenerate and debase artists like Cardi B? Did he greenlight that? Did he say it was okay to do that? Did he say that? You look at the scriptures and you determine for yourself. Because again, I'm only pointing out that Mr. LeCrae is again wrong again. He's missed the target yet again. And it's an ongoing pattern. So eventually you're going to have to ask yourself, is this gentleman missing the target on purpose? Is he missing the target because he doesn't understand the goal, the aim of the Christian faith? Or is he missing the target because he doesn't care? And he's deliberately and intentionally doing that. I don't know. You determine that for yourself. I wanted to just discuss something that jumped out at me, and I think you all will enjoy it. I thought rather you would all will enjoy it. Let me know what you think down in the comments. I appreciate you so much. This is a one and done, so it's going up. Everybody, thanks so much. Grace and peace.